Louisiana's nitrogen gas execution, a legal showdown. Dive into the complex legal battle surrounding Louisiana's planned nitrogen gas execution. Is it a humane alternative or a cruel and unusual punishment? Give a like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Federal judge halts execution. A federal judge has temporarily blocked Louisiana's planned execution of Jessie Hoffman Jr. This decision throws a wrench into the state's plans to carry out its first execution in 15 years. Judge Shelly Dick issued a preliminary injunction, halting the scheduled nitrogen gas execution. This marks the first time Louisiana has attempted to use this method. The legal challenge centers on the constitutionality of nitrogen hypoxia. The court will now determine if this method violates the Eighth Amendment. The core issue is not if Hoffman will be executed, but how. The public interest lies in preventing potential violations of constitutional rights. Legal basis for injunction. The injunction is rooted in concerns about cruel and unusual punishment. Hoffman's legal team argues that nitrogen hypoxia constitutes a violation of the Eighth Amendment. The court must now assess whether nitrogen hypoxia is a constitutional method of execution. This involves examining the potential for pain and suffering. The Eighth Amendment protects against cruel and unusual punishments. The judge emphasized the importance of preventing potential constitutional rights violations. This underscores the gravity of the legal challenge. The court's decision will have far-reaching implications. State's response. Louisiana's Attorney General, Liz Murrill, plans to appeal the decision immediately. The state remains committed to carrying out the execution. Republican officials have voiced their support for the execution, emphasizing justice for the victim's family. They believe Hoffman should face the consequences of his crime. The state is determined to uphold the law. The appeal process will likely be swift, given the urgency of the situation. The legal battle is far from over. The state is confident in its legal position. Hoffman's arguments against nitrogen hypoxia. Hoffman's legal team is mounting a multi-pronged attack against the execution method. They argue it is cruel, infringes on religious freedom, and lacks transparency. Nitrogen hypoxia is argued to be a cruel and unusual punishment. Hoffman's attorneys claim it would inflict torture, violating his constitutional rights. The defense is focusing on the potential for suffering. Hoffman's attorneys also argue that the execution infringes on his Buddhist breathing practices. They claim it violates his religious freedom. This adds another layer to the legal challenge. Cruel and unusual punishment. The core of Hoffman's argument rests on the claim that nitrogen hypoxia is cruel and unusual. His attorneys contend that it could cause unnecessary pain and suffering. They argue that the state has not adequately demonstrated the method's safety and humaneness. The defense is challenging the state's claims of a painless execution. The Eighth Amendment is at the heart of this argument. The legal team is presenting evidence to support their claim that nitrogen hypoxia poses a risk of torture. They are seeking to convince the court that the method is unconstitutional. The burden of proof lies with the state. Religious freedom infringement. Hoffman's attorneys also argue that the execution infringes on his religious freedom. As a Buddhist, he practices specific breathing techniques. They claim that the nitrogen gas execution would interfere with these practices. This argument adds a religious dimension to the legal challenge. The First Amendment protects religious freedom. The defense is arguing that the state has not adequately considered the impact of the execution on Hoffman's religious beliefs. They are seeking to protect his right to practice his faith. This is a complex and sensitive issue. Lack of transparency. Hoffman's legal team has also raised concerns about a lack of transparency. They claim they have limited access to witness the execution process. This lack of access makes it difficult for them to assess the potential for pain and suffering. The defense is arguing that the state is not being forthcoming about the execution protocol. Transparency is crucial in capital punishment cases. The attorneys are seeking greater access to information and the execution chamber. They want to ensure that the execution is carried out humanely and constitutionally. The state's secrecy is raising red flags. Alternative execution methods. Hoffman requested alternative, humane methods of execution. He suggested a firing squad or a physician-assisted suicide drug cocktail. However, these methods are not available under Louisiana law. The state only allows for nitrogen hypoxia, lethal injection, and electrocution. Hoffman's requests were ultimately denied. The defense's attempt to explore alternative methods highlights their concerns about the constitutionality of nitrogen hypoxia. They are seeking the least painful and most humane option available. The state's options are limited by law. State's defense of nitrogen hypoxia. The state defends nitrogen hypoxia as a painless and approved method of execution. They cite Alabama's successful use of the method as evidence of its safety and humaneness. The state argues that nitrogen hypoxia is a painless way to deprive the inmate of oxygen. They claim it is a humane alternative to other execution methods. The state is confident in its legal position. Louisiana's protocol mirrors Alabama's, which the state claims has been successfully implemented. They are relying on Alabama's experience to support their argument. The state is seeking to reassure the public about the method's safety. Painless and approved method. The state maintains that nitrogen hypoxia is a painless and approved method under Louisiana law. They argue that it is a humane way to carry out the death penalty. They claim that the inmate will lose consciousness quickly and without suffering. The state is seeking to dispel concerns about the potential for pain. The legal challenge hinges on this claim. The state is presenting expert testimony to support their claim that nitrogen hypoxia is painless. They are seeking to convince the court that the method is constitutional. The burden of proof lies with the state. Alabama's successful use. The state cites Alabama's successful use of nitrogen hypoxia as evidence of its safety and humaneness. They claim that Alabama's experience demonstrates the method's viability. Louisiana's protocol is modeled after Alabama's, which the state claims has been successfully implemented. They are relying on Alabama's experience to support their argument. The state is seeking to reassure the public. However, Alabama's use of nitrogen hypoxia has also faced criticism and legal challenges. The state's reliance on Alabama's experience is not without its risks. The legal battle is far from over. Background and context. Jessie Hoffman Jr. was convicted of the 1996 murder of Mary Elliott. This crime led to his death sentence. Hoffman's case has been winding its way through the courts for decades. The legal challenge to his execution is the latest chapter in this long and complex story. The victim's family is seeking justice. The case highlights the complexities and controversies surrounding the death penalty. It raises questions about the constitutionality of different execution methods. The legal battle is far from over. Hoffman's crime. Hoffman was convicted of the brutal 1996 murder of Mary Elliott. This crime led to his death sentence. The details of the crime are gruesome and shocking. The victim's family has been seeking justice for decades. The case has had a profound impact on the community. The crime serves as a reminder of the human cost of violence. It underscores the importance of holding perpetrators accountable. The legal system is seeking to provide justice for the victim and her family. Louisiana's execution protocol. Louisiana's execution protocol involves strapping the inmate to a gurney. Pure nitrogen gas is then administered through a mask. The nitrogen gas deprives the inmate of oxygen, leading to unconsciousness and death. The state claims this process is painless and humane. The legal challenge questions this claim. The protocol is designed to be quick and efficient. However, concerns remain about the potential for pain and suffering. The legal battle is focused on the constitutionality of this method. States' execution plans. Attorney General Murrell anticipates multiple executions this year. Louisiana has 56 inmates currently on death row. The state is seeking to resume executions after a 15-year hiatus. This has sparked controversy and legal challenges. The death penalty remains a contentious issue. The state's plans to carry out multiple executions have raised concerns among civil rights advocates and death penalty opponents. They are seeking to challenge the constitutionality of the death penalty. The legal battle is far from over. Alabama's nitrogen gas executions. Louisiana is following in the footsteps of Alabama, which has executed for people using nitrogen gas. Alabama's experience is being closely watched. Alabama's use of nitrogen gas has faced criticism and legal challenges. The state's reliance on Alabama's experience is not without its risks. The legal battle is far from over. The success or failure of Alabama's nitrogen gas executions will likely influence other states' decisions about using this method. The legal and ethical implications are significant. The debate continues. Available execution methods in Louisiana. Louisiana currently offers 3 execution methods: nitrogen hypoxia, lethal injection, and electrocution. The state is seeking to resume executions after a long hiatus. The choice of execution method is often determined by the inmate's preference. However, the state ultimately has the final say. The legal challenge focuses on the constitutionality of nitrogen hypoxia. The availability of different execution methods reflects the ongoing debate about the most humane way to carry out the death penalty. The legal and ethical implications are significant. The debate continues. Conclusion and call to action. The legal battle surrounding Louisiana's nitrogen gas execution is far from over. The court's decision will have significant implications for the future of capital punishment in the state and beyond. Stay informed, engage in respectful dialogue, and advocate for a justice system that upholds human rights. If you oppose the death penalty or have concerns about the use of nitrogen hypoxia, contact your elected officials and urge them to support legislation that promotes alternatives to capital punishment. Share this video to raise awareness and spark meaningful conversations about this critical issue. Your voice matters in shaping a more just and humane society.